Getting to the bottom of that just got a whole lot weirder. Welcome to a new series from Let's Get to the Bottom of That. A series that will unravel the tangled web of belief, manipulation, and power within some of the most secretive and dangerous cults of our time. What drives ordinary people to surrender their lives to a cause that to outsiders seems incomprehensible? How do charismatic leaders turn devotion into control, faith into fear? In this series, we will delve deep into the chilling stories of those who escaped the cult's grip, the investigators who sought to bring them down, and the families who were torn apart by its influence. Each week, a new episode will reveal a different cult and its dark history. Revealing the disturbing tactics used to recruit, brainwash, and maintain control over its members. Join us as we explore the origins of a different cult each week, the psychology of its leaders, and the desperate struggles of those who fought to break free. This series isn't just another story about a cult. It's a journey into the depths of human vulnerability, the search for meaning, and the terrifying power of blind faith. Welcome to the Cult Series. What is up, my conspiracy nuts? Let's go. It's another episode here on Let's Get to the Bottom of That. I'm your host, Byron Dice. I am joined in studio with Joey. Oh yeah, do it. Also have in studio a guest we had on last week, Meryl Wilson from the Bold Women Podcast.
What up?
In case you didn't know it, we are doing a Manson Part 2 because who can't get enough of the Manson family?
No one can.
No
right?
one.
Yeah.
Literally. There have been so many books, so many movies about this family. And last week we touched on the official story that was left out in the public square. And then at the end of the show, we felt like something else needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
The official story.
Something was
So we're going to
fishy.
dig into that today. We appreciate everybody that has given to the show financially. If you want to, you can go to our website, bottomofthat.com. There's a big blue support button. Click support and then go and give into your heart's content.
Yeah.
You can subscribe monthly financially if you want to support this show. So you can, I got to keep paying Joey because he's got to come out here and fix water heaters.
Exactly.
So
Got to slap in them tankless.
also if you are on the mobile app and you click on the show notes, which is the description of this podcast, at the very bottom there's a link that says support the show, and that'll take you to the mobile app where you can do that. I didn't get to do this or that, so
yeah.
I just have to do that sometimes. I don't have last question of the week because I'm so scatterbrained on our episodes right now. Because if you didn't know, we're missing one of the weirdos today, Jason.
Where's he?
Jason is on assignment,
Yeah.
trying to find out how to hold a new baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another. He's doing the work.
He's
the ministry.
He's
Take
in there.
dominion and multiply.
Yeah.
He's doing it. Was he up to 6 now?
I don't know.
6 or 8?
4.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's not bad.
I don't count other people's kids, man.
Oh, you don't? Yeah, you just look at them and go, there's a nice family.
Yeah, he looks like, I just, I make the connections. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
4 boys.
Yeah, it's going to be, Here we go, Jason.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's got a great seed.
God love you, Taylor.
Yeah,
She's outnumbered.
definitely.
Big time.
Yeah, I've heard about some weird smells where there's a lot of boys in the house,
Yeah.
especially with the moms. They don't get to have the flowery stuff they used to.
Nope.
If they had girls, whatever.
Anyway.
This week's question of the week. In 2016, what tech industry leader stated that odds are we are living in a computer simulation? Was it Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Elon Musk? That's your question of the week, folks.
That sounds like an Elon Musk thing.
He probably would say that.
Yeah.
Zuck looks like
He looks like he is in a simulation.
he's a simulation.
Yeah.
He does.
He
really.
looks like he is. Oh my gosh, he looks like a sim.
He does.
He really does. Yeah,
He's a weird
If you don't
dude,
know
man.
what that is, look it up.
exactly.
For the younger listeners.
But that's your question of the week. Just scroll down below the show and answer into your heart's content if you think you know the answer.
Okay.
Let's see. Anything important going on out in the world? Oh, how about the hurricanes? Everybody safe?
Hey, man.
We're deep in the heart of Texas.
The government gave
America.
out a whopping, $750?
Yeah, $750, but $3.5 billion to Ukraine.
I mean, what? Come on.
and
bro.
Israel.
Oh, and then the
What are y'all
proposed,
doing?
and then the proposed, however, was it 100 and some odd, or no, it was like 100 or 200 some odd million to Lebanon for something that's going on over there.
Yeah, where's the
Yeah.
millions for Americans?
Dude.
And you know what? When we're going through crisis, where are all of our allies helping us out? Because
I
how
don't
much
see them.
money? How much money have we thrown into other countries? I mean, I'm just going to say
To
that,
help out
like,
in the time of
to
need.
help them out when they've needed it. Like, okay, our country is in distress, but we're supposed to just fix our own crap. Okay,
Yeah, we're just over printing
true.
money.
It's a good point.
not
For
fair.
real. It's messed up, man.
Me and my privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the I don't know, whoever's in charge of FEMA, it seems pretty woke.
Oh, the,
Seems like
the
they're-
woman.
Yeah,
the
it's like
director
I'm
woman?
checking all the boxes. Have you seen that? I'm checking all the boxes of this is more important than helping somebody out
Yeah.
that lost their home.
It's
I got to make
disgusting.
sure I've got some women, I got some LGB in here.
Yeah, the trans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got to
because
make
that's
sure
really
that
helping when people don't have houses to go home to.
yeah.
And they
Yeah.
don't have
Well,
water.
yeah,
and they
but
don't have
yeah.
electricity.
She's like, I care more about the transgendered. They deal with this stuff every day. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about,
what do you-
lady?
That is a scary ideology to be spouting out there.
Yeah.
That like,
Yeah.
oh, now when it comes to natural disasters, we suddenly have to like further
Talk about
discriminate
these social issues. Yeah.
and give relief based on how much struggle you have.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like in your sexual identity and stuff like that. Like what? That is a concerning rhetoric.
It is.
Yeah,
it's funny.
very-
I was watching this show, not a show, it was like a little short, and this guy was pretending to be like a real leftist dude, and he's like, man, I'm just a terrible human being, man. Like if I go into the room and there's a bunch of like minority people there, he's like, I like staying in the corner, I like get out of the way. And he's talking to some other lady. She's like, yeah, you have to do that. And he's like, yeah, I'm just a terrible, terrible human being. Like, I suck being white. And she's like, yeah, I'm
You're-
also lesbian too. And he's like, oh God, what are we gonna, what are we
Yeah.
doing? She's like, yeah, I'm terrible. I suck. And I'm like, it's like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah,
with
matter of
these
fact,
people's
that's Matt
psychology?
Walsh. That's
That was, yes.
I am racist.
I was gonna
That's
say,
out of
is
the
that,
theaters.
is that Matt Walsh? Okay.
That
That's
was
out
Matt-
of the theaters.
Oh, that's a movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
am I racist? It's at the theaters. It's
Dude, that was so
There's-
funny, dude.
that conversation is so polarized because a lot of Christians are going, he shouldn't have done that because he's tricking people.
Dude,
Yeah.
no.
You
How else was he going to get in the room though?
Yeah.
Because that was the whole point, was like, I'm just going to expose this group and this ideology for what it is. And he already, I mean, I think I haven't seen it yet, but I have seen clips of it where he like started out just looking the way that he is and just posing questions. No one would talk to him.
right.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
And at one time
Right.
they kicked him out of this group because they figured out he was Matt Walsh.
Dude.
He went to the bathroom, the camera's still rolling, and they were talking about, this guy is, right? Blah, blah, blah. And he came back and everybody was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's going on here? You need to leave. I was trying to be a better person.
This is a movie?
Yes.
Dude, I
it's
gotta
called
see
Am I
it.
Racist?
Am I Racist?
Oh my god.
I want to go see it.
We
I
should
do too.
go.
Let's
That'd
go.
be fun.
I hope I can purchase it on Prime or something.
Dude, that is so fun. I was crying laughing during it because she was like, yeah, I suck. And he's like, wow.
I just don't understand how saying stuff like that about yourself is productive at all.
It's not.
And why we're encouraging people to just like hate themselves for just how they were born.
To try to make themselves lesser for literally no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The argument would be, well, that's exactly what you're trying to do to all these marginalized communities. And it's like, well, I mean, part of it is your elitist attitude saying that that's what they should focus on rather
Yeah.
than, hey, you have more to bring to the table, like
Yeah.
your brain,
Yeah.
your talents, your skills that you were just inherently born with. I don't know.
Well, one of the clips was like he was in this. It seemed like it was a white guilt training,
Yeah.
and he was and somebody the instructor was black, and she posed a question, and then Matt said, "Well, Martin Luther King said it's the content of your character," and she was like, "Well, Martin Luther King said a lot of stuff." Almost like that doesn't matter anymore.
Shut it down.
That is just wild.
Anyway,
Lord help us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 1969.
Yeah,
Help us,
dude.
indeed.
The year of love. Is that
Yeah,
what
the
it was?
Summer of Love.
Summer of love. dude.
Summer of Love.
Summer of Love.
Where we left off in the discussion with Charles Manson,
Yes.
of course, he died in 2017 in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the other family members are still in prison.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Linda. She got immunity, so she's out roaming the wild.
Yep.
I don't know if she's in hiding still, but
Linda Kasabian.
yeah, the old Kasabian. But we left off where we're kind of unanswered questions because all of us kind of got our hands on this book called Chaos by Tom O'Neill.
Yeah.
And Tom looks like from the pictures I saw in the book, looks like he was pretty frazzled. Looks like he had put a lot of work into.
Yeah.
He had one of these boards with the yarn and the
Oh, yeah.
detective stuff, and he had all kind of notes and research stuff.
Oh, he went crazy, dude.
He actually interviewed Manson, I don't know, a couple of times or once.
A few times they talked on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and from what I understand from the book, he didn't really get too much because that was like one of the last things he talked about was his interview.
That's
with
right.
Manson.
Yeah.
And Manson was just always, like he talks about in the book, spewing this rhetoric. It's like, I don't know, didn't really get a whole lot out of him.
No, Manson just kind of seemed crazy.
Yeah.
Whenever you do see him on tape or video, just stage myself. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Thing that rolls. When he is on video, he's like just spewing out stuff that doesn't even make sense.
No,
He has a very crazed look in his
Yeah,
eyes
he's got
at
that-
all times.
It's just got to,
Whenever I see that kind of look in people,
You
they
like-
make me nervous.
you immediately go,
Yeah.
there's Manson.
I'm like, there is that person has seen like some serious trauma.
Yeah,
Like they've seen
Maybe
some
their
weird
brain's just
stuff
off.
Or yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
don't know,
I do
man.
need to clarify.
Okay, go ahead.
Because the last episode, and you made a couple of reels out of me just
Oh, yeah.
sputtering around because I forgot the statute that I was referring to. But thanks to the Shouse California Law Group, the Criminal Defense Division, give them a
Hit
little
us.
shout out. I was referring to Penal Code 31. So
Okay.
it's the California statute that addresses aiding and abetting. A lot of states have something like this. But a person who aids this, I'm just reading directly off their website. A
Sure.
person who aids and abets a crime faces the same punishment as the one who directly commits the crime. So the language of the statute reads that all persons concerned in the commission of a crime, whether it be felony or misdemeanor, and whether they directly commit the act constituting the offense, or aid and abet in its commission, or, not being present, have advised and encouraged its commission, and all persons counseling, advising, or encouraging children under the age of 14 years, or persons who are mentally incapacitated to commit any crime, or who, by fraud, contrivance, or force occasion the drunkenness of another for the purpose of causing him to commit any crime, or who by threats, menaces, command, or coercion compel another to commit any crime are principals in any crime so committed.
What?
So rather,
Wow.
so it's also sometimes referred to as an accomplice liability, and it's not aiding and abetting is not a separate crime. Rather, it's a legal principle set forth in California's penal code that allows the state to prosecute everyone who is in on a crime, even if they don't perpetrate
Okay.
Perpetuate the crime directly. So,
Gotcha.
to add some clarification from that, because that was, I was like, crap, I really should have done my homework before I talked about that.
I mean, the question was, how did he go to jail when he didn't do anything?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what
Yes.
you were answering. So
Yes.
it's, I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think somebody commented on the comment on that short that mob bosses are guilty of the
Yes,
crimes
very
of
common.
their henchmen.
Really.
Yeah.
So we're going to come after you because they went and broke legs of
Of
Tony.
John- of
Of
Tony.
Tony.
Tony down the street.
Tony down there. He was selling the pizzas.
He's
Yeah.
sleeping with the fishes.
and fishes.
That's,
And let's go to
that's
Mac.
also very common with like felony drug crimes and things like that. It's like they want to get the
Let's go for
highest
the drug
person
lord. Yeah.
who is usually not involved in any of that
Yeah.
per se.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway,
bad.
Anywho.
we read this book by Tom O'Neill, and he got really deep in the weeds. He basically the first portion of the book was talking about the official story that we covered last week with the
Yes.
Helter-Skelter, Charles's love for music, wanted to be a rock star, and what I found strange in the book was the whole Terry Melcher coincidence, as they called it. Because on the official story, it looks like on the surface that Manson went to Sharon Tate's house thinking that it was Terry Melcher that still lived there.
Yeah.
On the surface, that's what it looks like.
Right.
I'm going to go kill Terry because he did not record me doing my rock songs. I wanted to be a rock star. You didn't record me, so I'm going to go kill you. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, I'm going to tell my family to go do it.
It's an extreme
So
temper
they went
tantrum.
there, and then, number one, if that was the case, why didn't you go, hey, is Terry here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm Sharon Tate. Oh, here's a knife in your heart.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
When you found out it wasn't Terry Melcher, why didn't you quit?
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
at that point, he already broke in the house, though.
Right, you broke in
know?
the house, you tied people
He
up.
already said he was the devil. He was here to do devil's business. He was too far in.
He was in.
Sure.
He was like, where's Terry?
It
Already
doesn't,
Matter of
killed- had
fact,
already
nobody
killed
was
the
looking
guy.
for Terry.
it doesn't matter anymore. At this point.
I know,
I'm
but
in
the thing is, it was the same house that Terry lived in. So you draw a conclusion that I went to get revenge on Terry.
Right.
Now reading this book, because Terry got on this stand for what's his name? Bugliosi?
Bugliosi.
Bugliosi. I said
Yes.
and it's O. Osi. I'm going to call him Osi.
Go ahead.
What's his first name?
Vincent.
Vincent. Let's go with Vincent. He got on the
Vinny.
stand with Vince and
It's called my cousin.
basically from what I read in Tom's book, he lied. He lied on the stand. He
Yeah.
perjured himself
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the things he said were not true. And
There
then
was a lot.
and then he shows up. There's eyewitness accounts. He shows up to the Manson family ranch
Mm-hmm.
after the murders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just hanging out.
his look, yeah. And and then they heard somebody go, hey, there's Terry. Here comes Terry. So there's some weird connection with Melcher. Why would you go to the house? And the other thing is, why did it take so long to arrest these people?
I don't know.
It was months. It
Yeah.
was months after the murders
It was months.
before they wrangled this family up.
Yeah, before
did a
they-
raid.
And the only reason they did is because of Susan in prison talked out to one of her
Atkins?
inmates. Atkins.
That's right.
And
And
that was the only reason they were like, oh, it must be them.
and the raid that happened
Yeah.
like just a couple of weeks before that.
Mm-hmm.
It was
What
like
was that about?
the
It was one of the biggest raids.
LASC. So it was the Los Angeles. It was the county sheriff's office that carried out this raid on the whole ranch, right? and
looking for weapons and stolen vehicles.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Because he was
yes,
basically
they were running on intel for that.
Yeah, there's multiple in this book. There was multiple times where
many occasions I can't even believe it.
Because Charlie, I say Charlie because he always called him Charlie.
Charlie
Manson. Hey, Charlie. Charlie, I mean, like we talked about in the last episode, was in and out of prison for
his whole life.
30 years.
Yeah.
So he was on a very, quote-unquote, strict parole. And
I wish I was on that kind of parole.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you said in the last episode he shouldn't even been able to be in California.
He shouldn't have been able to. This should have never happened.
Ever.
Because he should. If you want to look at, if you read this book, and people of you who are listening who have read the book, you would agree, because it's like all of the stuff that he was doing to violate his probation.
Yeah, blatant.
He should be in prison. Like, this should have never happened, because if he had actually been put back in prison when any number of the times before that, like,
yeah.
But when they did that raid, was it they were held for like 2 days and then released?
Yeah,
I think
much.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Crazy.
And it was the biggest. In the book, he says it was one of the biggest raids that LA has ever done, ever
in the history of California.
Yeah, in the history of
Still
California.
today.
Yeah, they had SWAT teams there. They in the guys that were part of the raid were like, it was the smoothest raid. Like, we got what we needed. We were in and out. And then
interesting.
They just were like, they found all these illegal weapons, all these stolen cars. They found everything, and we're like,
multiple people in parole violation. Okay, go home.
Yep, 2 days later.
So we're back at the ranch.
Yep.
It's weird, bro.
Okay.
It's weird.
And also something about Charlie's parole. Okay, when he was so this is something that was weird too that O'Neill touched on that I thought was very strange too. Was like he was originally arrested, and he did prison time like in the LA area in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he released and put on parole in San Francisco, in the northern part of the state? Why?
Yeah, don't you have to stay
you're usually
in this radius?
Yes.
You can't leave the county or something?
Yes. So there was no answer. He couldn't find any answer as to why they'd dumped him off up north.
And why his parole
What'd you say,
officer,
dump him off?
Huh? Yeah.
Who did that? Somebody gave him a ride?
Well, he got there somehow.
Oh, I thought you were saying,
bro, who's free reign, bro?
They were like the parole officer. Hey, I'm going to take you to San Francisco.
He was free reign.
By the way, there's some chicks out here you can manipulate.
Sure, yeah, that was basically like, here, you can be in San Francisco, and then whatever it was like, you can't leave the northern district of California.
Oh, by the way, here's a guitar. Make some music.
Where was Haight-Ashbury? Was that in Southern? And then
I think Haight-Ashbury was in
Haight-Ashbury Clinic.
I think that was in San Francisco. Or in the area. Let me see.
Should we talk about that next?
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking we should probably go through this so it's a little bit more structured.
Yes.
You like structure?
We'll get off.
Yeah.
I'm all about non-structure. You
need to settle down. We're structuring right now. Listen.
Yeah. Haight-Ashbury is a district in San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm connecting the dot.
Yep. Anyway, let's go. Let's bring it back to the beginning.
Just break it down.
Okay. So the prosecution's reliance on the Helter-Skelter theory. So the idea was that Bugliosi's strategy hinged on presenting Manson as a cult leader who used his charisma influence to incite his followers to murder in order to spark a race war. That was the Helter-Skelter that we talked about, the theory.
Which is the Beatles song.
Yeah. The theory, while dramatic and shocking, was largely on circumstantial evidence and left out other potential motives that could have changed the trajectory of the trial, not child.
The child as well.
The child. The Helter-Skelter theory, as O'Neill explains in the book, was convenient to Bugliosi, allowed him to paint Manson as the ultimate villain, orchestrating the murders not for money, revenge, or personal gain, but as part of an apocalyptic vision. The theory was sensational, and the press ran with it, ensuring that Manson's trial became a national spectacle. However, O'Neill argues that the theory also oversimplified the case, allowing Bugliosi to sidestep more complicated and perhaps dangerous motives involving Manson ties to drugs, crime, and potential organized government connections.
Yeah.
So, hang on, go back up.
Oh, sorry.
Bugliosi,
Whoa.
What in the world was that, dude?
That's why I
made
don't. That's why I don't
quite-
like.
he made quite a living off of this one case by itself.
Yeah.
Do I need to go up a little bit more?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
So he shows in the book how Helter-Skelter narrative was untested, but provided a neat and coherent story for the jury. It framed Manson as a Svengali-like figure, making it easier for prosecution to portray his followers as helpless puppets. Under his control, I cannot read today. The theory was
Reading's
so
hard.
outlandish that it was almost impossible to disprove, especially in the context of fear and confusion gripping the nation at the time.
What was the defense?
The prosecutor?
Well, no, the defense. Like, so, like, can you
I don't
defend
know that
against
they,
this?
There's no way
but that's
to.
not. But the point of being a defendant when you're being accused of a crime in the United States is it's all on the prosecution.
Yeah, they have
to
to
prove that
prove
you have to do
they're
anything.
guilty.
So
They have to prove guilt.
yeah, I believe their stance was mostly just like he didn't do anything, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But-
that's I would come at it like, oh, wait a minute, you're telling me my client is based his manipulation of murders off of a Helter-Skelter song? Are you out of your mind? The Beatles? Let's get the Beatles on stand. Let's ask
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if I would really do that, but it sounded fun.
So the question is, why did Bugliosi push the Helter-Skelter theory so heavily, and what impact did it have on the trial's outcome? What do you think?
Well, the impact was that he was found guilty. The jury believed that this story was real.
yeah,
That's the impact.
through the press,
Yeah, the
through media.
and then you see that today
Yeah,
as well. When somebody is like, either way, the media can sway the public discourse.
Mhm.
And sometimes, well, let's just go with Mr. Chauvin and the George Floyd thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
All the evidence didn't matter.
No.
It was what the public court of opinion, that's what mattered. And so the judge and the jury was like, well, we got to do a certain thing because the public's going to hate us,
yeah,
regardless of evidence.
yeah.
And I think this is the same thing.
Yeah, it seems like that. I mean, you had a brutal murder. Everyone saw the crime. And remember, this was months after it happened.
Yeah,
So-
months.
It talks about in the book of like, because originally he went to interview people from Hollywood. Because you said it in our last episode, he was there for just a story on the effects of the Manson.
mean
Yes,
Tom?
murder.
originally.
Tom
Mhm.
was. So it's like, it talks about in the book, like, all of Hollywood was terrified at this point in time.
Yeah,
So this
because
is-
if I'm not mistaken, there were some name droppings
yeah, there was.
of who I'm coming after next.
Yeah. Sinatra and all those people.
Steve McQueen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Which in the book, do you remember? I thought he said in the book that was like made up as well. Do you remember that?
Oh, really?
Like Sinatra.
So
and
all that
those
stuff
other-
was just kind of, this was sensational. Hey, he's
Yeah,
coming
I
after
don't know
these
that
people.
they actually ever found like an official list.
I don't think they did.
I don't think there was an actual list of people.
So they were like pushing this fear for months and months and months, which makes me think maybe that's why they pushed the trial back so far, so that the population was in such an uproar.
Yeah, like,
And then when
Yeah,
they
this guy's
finally
guilty.
found their smoking gun, it was like they're just blind allegiance to whatever story they pushed.
yeah, I think it was just mostly about just like, let's convict. Which before we started recording, Joey and I were talking briefly about this, and Joey was like, well, I mean, Bugliosi did like put everybody away. And I was like, yeah, because apparently nobody else could be bothered to have put him away. So yeah, that is good.
Yeah, the people involved definitely went
what
to
do you mean
jail.
put away? You mean like the whole
In prison.
family?
Yeah, like just
Well, it talks about in the book. So one of the issues that Bugliosi ran into was he had to, like, I can't remember. I'm going to butcher this because I don't remember exactly what he says. But he ran into a lot of hurdles as far as, like, convicting the members of the family.
yes.
Because the members of the family, they were out of their mind. So he had to prove that they were out of their mind, and then he had to prove that they were coherent to go to prison. So he had
Well,
to-
it was so that they could get the death penalty, because the death penalty, in order to qualify for that in California, you have to be of like, you have to be in control of like your faculties and things like that, like your mental
Yeah.
state,
Mental state has to be
because you
good.
can't put to death somebody who's like mentally
It's
incapacitated.
not even there. He thinks
And
he's a
so-
grapefruit smoothie or something.
Yeah, so that was like, so that was a huge issue that he had to come around, because the entire criminal trial was all about how these people were like mindless bots that were so under his control. And then it was like, then when it came to sentencing, he had to pivot and like change that. So it was like, but they were still cognizant of what they were doing.
Going on.
They knew what was going on, but then
You talking
like,
about Vincent?
Vincent Bugliosi.
So he was like, first, hey, they were crazy. I
Hey,
want the
they're-
death penalty.
they
but
didn't even know what was going on.
I want the
like,
death penalty. Oh, wait a minute. I already said they're crazy.
Okay, I now remember. He said that he had to prove that they were crazy and out of their mind in order to get Manson involved.
Yes.
And then he had to prove that they were coherent enough to do it themselves in order to get them in prison as well. So that was the hurdle.
And to get him the death penalty.
And to get them the death penalties.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention he had help from Linda.
Kasabian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who I think
Linda
was probably
turned
a
state's
plant.
evidence. Oh, you think?
I think she was a plant, probably.
Probably. Yeah. We kind of get into that
Really?
later in the
Yeah.
book. Yeah. There
Okay.
in the later in the book, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it. It talks about like how there was like all these government plants at the time. They would put these people in, you know, the movements of the age, like the Panthers and all these informants. And there was a big fear for those types of group for informants as well. So it's not crazy to think that Linda was an informant for this,
Right.
especially because she got total immunity for it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then came out of hiding.
Yeah. But I don't know. It seems like it was just orchestrated from the beginning, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Who-
number 2.
Well, who would be orchestrating this?
Well, I don't know.
If it was, listen, I don't know if this is in your notes, but I'll go ahead and say it because it's in my memory.
Say it.
The Tom interviewed Vincent,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
a couple of times.
he came across some. He got involved with one of the DA's ladies. I can't remember her name. It's in the book.
Yeah.
He got involved with her, and she was like, I guess she maybe liked him. Tom was, good to her, but she gave him access to everything
Police reports and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the case.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he combed through all this stuff.
And he wasn't even supposed to do that. Because he
No.
went back later and they were like, "What are you talking about, dude?"
He went
Like,
and
yes,
found
here's the
stuff
photos.
in
Yeah.
Tom's in Vincent's handwriting
Mm-hmm.
that got buried and
Yeah.
never discussed in the trial.
Yeah. Because it wasn't convenient for the narrative that he was
And
trying to
and
put out.
Vincent was like, but it was reasonable doubt type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the defense didn't even know about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not legal.
Well, yeah.
That's called what's it called? Discovery.
The big one was,
You have to show everything to the defense of your evidence,
Mhm.
that wasn't shown.
Right.
I forgot these letters, but Vincent was like very angry. He was like, I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
What you're talking about right now. And it was like, and Tom was like, that's not the point. The point is,
The point is you wrote that down.
you wrote
Yeah.
this down and neglected to have this come out in trial.
Yeah.
I'll have to go through my notes if y'all want to talk about
Well,
something.
he said.
I forgot what it was. It was
that was Melcher being there afterward.
that was it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the Melcher thing.
He's like, "Dude, this is like groundbreaking stuff." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The
he
prosecution."
seemed to be
knew."
always angry.
Yeah, he was. He was all over.
Yeah,
Wasn't
and
he
then he even
throwing
had
stuff
it-
around the kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he even had an opportunity to interview Bugliosi's co-counsel.
Mm-hmm.
And his co-counsel was like, "What? I didn't know about that."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's
He
so
never
much
shared that
stuff.
with me.
Yeah.
There was so much stuff that Tom uncovered that if it came out in 1968 or 69, I think this trial would have been either mistrial or the defense would have been able to handle the
It would
story.
have just blown up the entire thing. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have, and they would have had to let everybody go.
Yeah,
So-
that's the scary part about it. So that's
Yeah.
why I kind of commend Bugliosi because he was juggling a lot of stuff, and maybe he was wrapped up in some crap, bro. But
yeah,
I think so. Too.
maybe he was wrapped up in some stuff that he shouldn't have been, or maybe he just thought this guy's crazy. I need to put these people away. But it just seems very convenient that you left a lot of stuff out of the trial and you left stuff out of the defense's hands to get these people in prison.
I think that also it served also as a cover-up for all of the other crap that happened before in terms of
What do you mean?
Manson's like parole violations and things like that.
Yeah.
All of those mistakes, you know, if this book hadn't come out, nobody would have known that any of that was happening, that he was just roaming freely. Like they were even, his parole officer was even like, oh, I think he would be a good candidate to send down to Mexico for like some drug trafficking, like
to Jamaica
investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were gonna send him down there. He wrote this letter of recommendation that like, oh well, he's pretty tied into the drug trade here and like in Hollywood and stuff like that. I think he'd be a good person to like send down there,
Yeah.
and do some investigating on these other drug dealers and stuff that are in Mexico or whatever. And then that never panned out.
Yeah.
But it was like,
Well,
all of these are like serious things that they should not have even been doing with
even
him.
his
Are you saying that if this would have came out about all the parole violations, that this would have been a different case as well?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I think that this was a good way, like Bugliosi's approach and him like just tightening this up, leaving things out would have covered all of that up. Nobody would have ever found out about that, and
It wouldn't have made people look at him and go, "Hey, what are you doing?
right.
Yeah.
Like you're sketchy."
But also, Bugliosi was a little booger boy too, though.
Oh, booger boy.
Yeah,
To me about
there
the
was
booger
numerous people that he like stalked and threatened. Do you remember that part of the book?
No,
You don't remember that part?
I told you, sped red.
You
Sped
son of a
red?
gun, dude. Well, there was a
It's
lady
a tough
that
read.
what was it? He had
It was
like
a tough read.
He was stalking.
he had a mistress, and the mistress I think was like gonna have a kid or something like that, and it would have ruined him. It was during this trial, and he like tried to pay her off, and she's like, no, screw you. And then he beat her, like fought her, and like a physical altercation.
Yes.
Yes, like, and then she ended up stepping out. There was another guy, I can't remember the story, but he was like stalking them because he had some information about Bugliosi, and he was like sending them hate mail, and they ended up suing him. Like there was a lot of stuff against Bugliosi. Like he was a
booger.
yeah. Whenever
No one had anything nice to say about him.
no one had anything nice, and Tom O'Neill was legitimately scared because he's like, this guy.
Well, yeah, I
He'll
can see
try
from the book
stuff.
when he was in his house, he was just crazy.
Yeah.
The way he's like, he didn't like the way he was asking him questions that question his validity in the trial.
Yeah.
Right.
He set up a courtroom in his kitchen.
Yeah.
And,
It was crazy.
Yeah.
He had a script that he'd been running for
Yeah.
decades.
He's like, this is so let's sit down here. He said, my wife's the jury. And it's like every time he would have his wife, anytime Tom would call him, he would have his wife as the third party. And like,
Man, I wish they would have recorded that,
dude,
His poor
like on
wife.
video.
he's like, this is off the record, Tom. I need it to be off the record, you know? And he's like, I put it on the record anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
It was almost like, how dare you question my narrative, even though you have all this other evidence.
yeah.
He got really upset that Tom could even. Why don't you just want this man to be guilty of what I said he is? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. It's weird, dude. There's just like, there's a lot to this.
Helter-Skelter. Oh, by the way, the Rob Zombie Helter-Skelter is probably the best one.
Really?
I'm just saying.
I don't think I've
Rob
listened.
Zombie
better-
or White Zombie? Which one?
What?
What you
There's a
talking about?
white zombie?
Yeah.
I'm talking about Rob Zombie's Helter-Skelter version.
Rob Zombie was in White Zombie before he became Rob
You're
Zombie.
kidding me. No, that's a theory.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know there was a white zombie.
You're joking with me,
No,
right?
I know Ozzy.
Byron, you can't have hair like that and not know.
What are you talking about,
I'm a
dude?
product of the 80s, bro.
Dude, what are you? That is 80s.
Where did-
That's
Wait,
like 60s.
Rob Zombie? What?
White Zombie,
Oh, I didn't know. I got to look that up now.
bro.
Anyway, my point
you never
is
heard that?
Rob Zombie's version is the best to me.
You know that
Molly
one?
Crew did one, and it's not even as good.
Okay.
Because
Anyway,
Vince Neil's like at that nasal. Helter-Skelter. He's got that nasal thing going.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you sing like that.
He
Through
just-
the nose.
He just plugs his nose up.
Through the nose.
Anyway, Rob Zombie's version of Helter-Skelter.
Apparently pretty good.
Let's talk about this. I don't know if you want to go through the notes, but I wanted to hit, unless you want to hit something else,
Let's hit the notes because we're gonna go full circle.
because I want to talk about the Ashbury Clinic.
Yeah,
we'll
well-
get to it.
Hey,
Okay.
settle down.
Let's
bro.
go.
We're
Pump
build-
the brakes, Turbo.
Listen, I read a 16-hour book for this dang podcast, and I'm gonna hit every
Same.
single point
You know
I
what we
made.
should do is just not. We shouldn't record this. Just play the audiobook.
Yeah,
I'll just publish it.
You got
we'll just
16
keep-
hours
Yeah.
because
yeah. You
that
guys,
was
just,
a lot
go,
to get
Joey.
through.
there was a lot of fluff.
Or do you want to downplay the other motives and leads?
Let's look at the downplaying of
All
motives,
right.
Okay. So, excuse me. O'Neill points out that while the Helter-Skelter theory was central to the prosecution's case, other possible motives such as drug deals gone wrong, personal vendettas, and Manson's connections to Hollywood and organized crime were largely ignored. Remember we talked about the parole stuff. Or underexplored during the trial. The prosecution's narrow focus on the Helter-Skelter theory effectively shut down alternate lines of inquiry that may have painted a more complex and truthful picture of the murders.
Yeah.
There were several potential alternative motives for the murders that rose not fully investigated. For example, there were rumors that the Tate murders were linked to drug debts, drug trafficking. Some of the victims had ties to the drug scene in Los Angeles, and Manson himself had connections to drug dealers.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the
Um,
first episode.
Okay.
Yep. Additionally, Manson's potential involvement with more powerful figures in Hollywood or even government programs like MK Ultra could have shed light on other reasons for the killings. However, these leads were not followed up on because they did not fit into the Helter-Skelter narrative. So,
Right. I mean, how could you build a case on that?
I mean,
No way.
Yeah.
it would lead back. I mean, who knows? I mean,
Because
he's
that would lead back to
You
the
would
government.
Need, yeah, I was like, you would need information from the government that you're not going to get.
yeah, it's just
Right.
never going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. Like one of the key pieces of evidence that could have pointed to a drug-related motive was the fact that several people involved in the case had ties to drug dealing. Wojciech Frykowski was one of the victims at the Tate house. Was rumored to be involved in drugs.
Frykowski.
And there was speculation that the murders may have been linked to drug dispute rather than Manson's supposed desire to incite a race war. But Bugliosi and the prosecution focused exclusively on the Helter-Skelter theory, bypassing these possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So what might the trial have uncovered if Bugliosi had followed up on these other leads? Could Manson's drugs connections tied to organized crime or involvement in the Hollywood elite have revealed more complicated web of motives for the murders? Obviously.
That brings me back to the Jay Sebring's
Yeah.
barber.
Yes.
And and his apprentice. How they had
Yeah.
ties to the mob in Vegas and stuff, having
there's so
conversations
many.
with them. He was like, and why that guy got a phone call from a mobster literally the next day. It was like, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. We're not coming after you.
We're
We
not
already
coming for
taken
you.
care of
Like
it.
what?
Yeah.
And no one we're just gonna leave that hanging out there.
Yeah. and
I'm surprised that it took Tom O'Neill to dig this up instead of the defense.
that's what I'm saying. It was the Helter-Skelter narrative. They were
I'm talking about the defense. Why didn't
well.
you get this man off?
None of this was
Should he have went to
revealed.
jail? That's the question.
And I think
Should this family be in jail?
yes,
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
for sure.
But are they in jail for the reasons that
No.
Vincent stated?
no.
Some helter-skelter race war.
I know
That's the
that's
question.
kind of the moral questions. Like they're in jail, they're put away.
Yeah, y'all
we-
killed people.
There's obviously more going on, but what I mean, that's just our government, bro.
Let-
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's like, hey, y'all did kill people. Who cares about the reason?
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Let's go with this reason.
Let's just put him in jail.
Helter-skelter.
He figured out a way to get him in jail.
Yeah.
and I commend him for that. I
Yeah,
really
sure.
do.
I mean, yeah, because basically, if we want these other, they may not be in jail. They may have got off. Look at OJ.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't he die just recently?
I think so.
Huh.
I think another important note too
Simpson.
is
I just had the camera on you with your face. That was amazing.
Oh,
It's the look you gave.
I'm very animated.
the Roman Polanski it talked about in the book. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know if
was
we
out
talked
of
about-
town.
It talked about he was out of town, but he was also
Conveniently.
Oh
like
yeah,
a-
he passed away in April. OJ.
he was also
Wow.
a piece of trash. I think
Oh,
we
is he?
talked about that last
I think
time.
he's alive today and still being a piece of trash.
Yeah, but there was evidence of blackmail with Sharon Tate. Like there was a video of her having sex with 2 guys, and he recorded.
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yes,
We
and
talked-
those.
we talked about that.
Yeah,
yep.
we did.
Did we talk
Okay.
about he covered that up?
Yeah,
He
tried
gave
to
those
cover it
tapes
up.
back to the cops, and they said, "Hey, put this somewhere
Yes.
back
Yeah.
on the scene."
Yeah, they kept it for themselves.
Yeah, they probably watching them today.
Oh.
There's Sharon Tate.
Oh.
I was like, gosh darn
Wow.
it, man. Yeah,
Trump's probably in there somewhere.
yeah, he walks in like,
Yeah.
what's go?
Hey, listen, let's put the knife down.
It's terrible.
That's terrible.
Trump was a kid at that time.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but,
what are you
know,
talking about, dude?
I'm just saying. I'm saying they would put Trump in anything bad.
Let's not give any of his haters any more fuel.
Well, I mean,
I'll probably get a comment on that.
probably will.
talking about the drug connections, we talked about them, I think, briefly the first episode.
Yes.
But we talked about a guy, I don't remember what his name was. It's going to drive me crazy. The guy that was their drug dealer, quote unquote drug dealer. But this
Taco?
was like, I think it was Taco, but he was like a really shady dude. And anyone O'Neill talked to was like, yeah, that guy was CIA. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, he's the one who was talking about how he was undercover, and he actually referred to some guy whose English name was Frank.
Yes.
Remember? And yeah, and then they found out like, oh, well, Frank was actually like doing a lot of like ops for.
Yeah, he was like, he would leave for a while and go do an op somewhere and like come back. And then he interviewed his wife, and he was like, yeah, he was CIA.
But everyone hated the Taco guy and his little buddy Wayne. I can't remember his first name, or was that his first name? I don't know.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway.
This guy was like, did you remember that part of the book, Byron?
I don't.
This dude was like James Bond, bro. He was like
He
infiltrating.
was everywhere.
Oh, he was infiltrating everything, dude. Like he was all up in it.
Is there any kind of story that Manson was a plant,
What do you mean?
CIA plant, informant?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, here's the deal, dude. Manson, the big question is, Manson was in and out of jail for 30 years.
Yeah.
So he was a bad dude.
Bad
Anyway.
dude.
Right.
Sucked.
Yeah.
He needed
Totally
Jesus.
deserves
He
to
needed
just be locked
Jesus.
up for his
Sucked. No, well, that's not the point I'm making. But he sucked his whole life
Okay.
in and out of prison,
All right.
informal education,
Gotcha.
all these things. How on earth did he know how to manipulate and literally brainwash people? How did
That's
he
a
know
good
that?
one.
Enter the Haight Ashbury Clinic.
Yeah. He was taught. He had to have been, dude.
Had to have been.
Now
Now,
here's
wasn't there something like, didn't he, not just related to the clinic, but I feel like there was somewhere in the book where it was like he went somewhere and it had to have been in discussions with his parole officer who was like studying
Mm-hmm.
the effects of
LSD.
hallucinogenics and stuff like that on
Yeah.
rats, was it?
Yeah.
Mice and stuff.
yeah, because how did he know to take a lesser dose than these people?
Right.
Like just because I'm a bad guy and I know how LSD works. I'm a scientist.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we
I'm gonna
already know
take-
he was a bad guy. at
I'm gonna
heart,
take
so it's
I'm gonna
like,
take less and then control these people.
Dude, didn't this freaking parole officer actually come out to the farm a couple times and like
Yes.
bang out like a bunch of
What?
the girls?
is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, dude.
Here, take my family.
Yeah, he watched. Oh, that's another point. He did do that. He took one of his kids too for a little bit. One of Charlie's kids. What was his name? Sunshine or something like that. You
Oh
remember
yeah,
that?
he fostered him for
Yeah,
a while.
he fostered one of Charlie Manson's kids, bro.
How old was he?
He and his wife did.
Yeah, he was a baby. Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
And
Whose
Tom-
kid
Tom-
was it really though?
It was Charlie.
It
Charles
was Charlie's
Manson.
with one of the girls.
You're joking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because these girls were nuts, dude. The reason why they had so much influence in Hollywood is because they were just nasty, dude.
We're just out there.
Oh, dude, they were nasty.
I mean, they're hitchhiking. They're
Yeah.
just picking people up.
banging dudes. Just nasty girls, bro.
Yeah. Well, and if you
I
think about
don't-
it, it was like they were out there doing whatever they wanted because they had this clinic where they could get free
STD care.
care for
Yeah.
whatever it was that was a consequence of their behavior.
Their
taken care of.
nastiness.
Yep.
So why not?
They were just having orgies everywhere. That's one of the things Tex Watson says is like, dude, it was like free reign.
Yeah, just
Ew.
unbridled.
Unadulterated, just
Wow.
nastiness, bro.
Well, I hope they found Jesus because
I don't know.
I don't have access to the book of life. But hey,
Oh.
talk to me about so we're talking about the clinic.
Yeah.
Should we get down to the clinic? Because here's the thing in the
Here,
book.
scroll down. Let me see if
Here's-
I have it.
I'll scroll down. The thing in the here's what how about this? We talked about this, right?
A little bit.
Do you want to
listen.
hit this a little bit?
Okay, sure.
But let me first say this, and then maybe you're going to get to it.
Maybe.
In the book, it started talking about these different names of the people that
so
were in
many
the
names.
But it seemed like he was telling this whole story. I think his name was Johnny West.
Yes.
Johnny Quest.
That he
Something.
called
I can't
what was
remember his name.
Jolly.
Jolly.
Jolly was his
West.
nickname. Yeah.
And he gave this whole story about Jolly, and I'm sitting there reading, and I'm going, what does this have to do with Manson? But it had to do with Jolly was in the clinic, and he gave detailed information on how Jolly was in the clinic, how he was taught the LSD.
He had also conducted a lot of studies on hallucinogenics, and that was part of the reason
yes.
why he was there.
Who, Jolly?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
He'd written a lot of papers about studying the effects of that on rats, and he wanted to take it to human testing.
Human trials. Okay.
Human
right.
trials. And a lot of his colleagues were like, "You're nuts." No.
Why would, what are you going to gain from this?
And on what planet are you going to get people to volunteer for this?
Enter the Hyatt Clinic.
Enter the Haight-Ashbury
Yeah,
Clinic.
So I
Yeah.
think the connection there is Jolly was at this clinic, but Manson was at the clinic,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
but they never really connected or crossed paths, but it's just they were at the same clinic.
Yeah,
And this
he probably
clinic
saw
does
him.
this type of stuff. So it's also, hey, Manson probably learned this stuff at the clinic, what you're talking about with this.
Yeah.
this
And
crazy.
they definitely probably crossed paths and he saw each other because they said that like Charlie was on a first name basis with all the staff. He was literally there daily,
Mm-hmm.
showing up with girls to get treated for their STDs and crap like that.
Because they were banging
'Cause they were-
everybody.
Every
when they were
day.
banging trees.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
It didn't.
No one
Yeah.
was safe.
Let's talk about coercion and tampering of witnesses.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
let's do
that.
that.
Let's do that.
Okay. So the credibility of certain witnesses, especially those from Manson's family, came into question. O'Neill details how some witnesses may have been coerced or manipulated for the prosecution. There were also reports of key witnesses being intimidated or threatened into providing testimonies that provided the prosecution's narrative. The prosecution, particularly Vincent Bugliosi, relied heavily on witnesses' testimonies to build the Helter-Skelter narrative. O'Neill reveals that some witnesses admitted that their statements were coerced or fabricated.
Yep.
So the example that they have is Linda Kasabian, a key witness, testified that she had been at the scene of the Tate murders but did not participate. Her testimony was central to the prosecution case, but O'Neill raised the question whether or not her version of the events was coached or shaped fit into the Helter-Skelter narrative.
Okay.
Some of the prosecutions, this is a quote from the book, key witnesses later admitted that they were coerced into testifying against Manson in that ways that aligned perfectly with Bugliosi's Helter-Skelter theory.
Well,
So the main one that I get is Susan Atkins. He talks about in the book. Susan Atkins was the reason why the Manson family was even brought into this anyway, because she talked about this with her cellmate. We talked about that in the first one.
Yeah.
Idiot.
yes.
Her testimony to her cellmate was different than the testimony that Bugliosi gave to the trial.
In court.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, he was talking about O'Neill whenever they were listening to the, like recording of Bugliosi getting the testimony from Susan Atkins. There was like a lot of stops and like, she would say something, then it would stop and then it would go back. And it was like, he's like, why is there so many like,
Yeah, there was a lot
Yes.
clearly editing done.
Yes. A lot of editing done, and so it's like, what in the world's going on?
Yeah, and there was even several times in the recordings where it was like, okay, we need to stop the recording, and then
Yes.
and then it would
And then
pick
let's
up and
pick
go,
up.
okay, say that again, Susan.
it.
It's
Oh.
like what?
Yeah. Repeat that again.
Can we say coercion?
You were just saying how you did this specific thing. Please say that again.
Listen, yeah, and hey, stop this. Susan, listen, I need you to like make your inflections are a little off.
Yeah, so if
When
that
they-
information was never shared with the defense, then that should have been a mistrial, like immediately, because
Well, even the guy that they appointed for the defense, wasn't he like a complete bozo too. It talked about in the book, like he
That's
like
what I was.
lost-
That's what I was asking. Did Manson get his attorney, or was it one of these self-appointed
yeah,
deals?
that's what it was. Manson was like, "Give me the worst prosecutor you've ever seen."
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He's like, "I want him to suck," and they did. They gave
Oh
him
wow.
they gave him the guy.
Well, that's interesting too.
yeah.
It's almost like this thing
How
was played
awesome,
out.
How awesome to be known as like, well, I was the
Yeah, exactly.
I was who was selected as the worst defense attorney possible.
Yeah, that's my title. Open a new law
the
firm.
worst public
I'm the
defender.
worst.
Well, dude, whenever O'Neill interviewed him, he was homeless.
Oh my.
It's like having him like, "Hey man, can you actually like drive me
Hey.
over here? I got to pick up some things."
Oh my.
He'd hop back in and he'd be like, "Hey man, I actually need to go to like 2 hours north.
Yeah.
Can you?" And O'Neill's like, "Dude, this guy doesn't have a house." He's like, "No, my house is just up this way," and he dropped him off at like a bus station. Like,
yeah. And
and he's
O'Neill
like,
was like, I'm
you
pretty
did-
sure he was like struggling with like mental health issues.
yeah,
And
that was the defense attorney, bro, back in the time.
It would have been a question. You did defend Manson, right?
but he was emphatic about Bugliosi like just freaking giving him the runaround, and like he was
Yeah.
very upset
Oh, you mean
about
like-
that.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
like the discovery part. Hey, I'm not
Yes.
giving you
Yeah.
everything. Oh
Yeah.
wow.
because he was like he would get all worked up about it. And he'd like start shouting at Tom.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah, it's funny, dude. Give me the worst one you
This-
got.
That's me.
I mean, like to your point, Joey, Vincent, yeah, kudos for you. Put these people away. But it's just weird. All these little details. I can't wrap my mind around it.
I know.
Something seems shady.
I don't think anyone ever will because it's obvious where it leads.
Yeah,
You
there's
know?
too many people that are dead now. So
Too many people that are dead, too many people that won't talk,
yeah,
too many redacted articles. Because he was dealing with that a lot too. He was like, "Yeah, there was like 80% of it redacted. Like I couldn't."
yeah. And then his dad stepped in, who was like a former like tax attorney or
Yeah,
something,
and
but he
got
was
a
able to
bunch-
get some of the reports and things like that unredacted in the FOIA
Wow.
requests that they
There's
refiled.
just so much covered up with this, bro. It's just
So, what do you think Tom's focus was in writing this book? Was it to say that something was just weird, or was it to say that the Manson family should have gotten off, or was there a different story? They should have still went to jail, but they should have went to jail for this story. Was that his whole premise for writing this book? Or?
Yeah, in the first episode, I had read a quote from him that was basically just saying like, I let the reader draw their own conclusion as to like what they think happened, but all I'm here to do is to show you that everything we think we know is not true,
yeah,
or it's been embellished.
Gotcha.
yeah,
It doesn't take the fact. It doesn't take away from the fact that the Manson family murdered Sharon Tate and the other two.
Right.
I forgot their Leo.
The LaBiancas.
Yeah, the LaBiancas.
yeah.
Uh,
They were killed.
that actually did happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what is the narrative, and
Yeah.
should we believe? Yeah, he was trying to do a race war and do Helter-Skelter.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
end of the day, Charlie's dead. He got what he deserved because he stayed in prison the whole time. Rest of the family's still in jail except for Linda.
Yep.
And
I think maybe I read it wrong. I think some of them's come out on parole. Maybe I'm
No.
wrong. No, they're all still there.
yeah, they're still. Oh, wait a minute.
We can Google
I think
it.
one did.
Yeah.
It was the female.
I thought Susan Atkins was out, bro. I'm pretty
One
sure.
of them's dead already, and we discussed that in the last episode. One of them's dead. Of course, when we record this stuff, my brain's just like, what happened last week?
This book was just a total like.
There
what,
was
what,
were
what,
so many
what?
details that like the book was good, and I've never read a book that felt like a nothing sandwich and also groundbreaking at the same time.
Yeah.
That's why I said I had to go
Yeah,
through
that's a
some
good way
stuff
to
because I
say
would start reading stuff and I was like, why am I reading this right now? And I'd have to go skip to something that caught my attention. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
Why, that's why you missed out on the minute
Yeah.
details. Because what he did in the book, especially when he's talking about, so he was building, really the later half of the book was him building a case against the CIA. Like the whole thing. He was tracing that, Jolly West.
Jolly West,
He traced him all the way back to like his connections to the
MK
CIA,
Ultra.
to MK Ultra, It talked about MK Ultra, some of their
Leslie Van Houten was released from prison July 11th, 2023.
So she's out.
she's out, bro.
Leslie.
Van Houten.
I wonder what she's doing.
So Krenwinkel.
Just enjoying her freedom, bro.
But I wonder if she'd still go back to the same old lifestyle.
Oh, dude, did we ever
Just
confirm?
banging.
Did we ever
Krenwinkel-
confirm that lady that said that she was in prison with one of the family members?
Wait a
Remember
minute.
that?
Oh, we got a comment.
Yeah, dude.
Are you hold on.
Pull it up, Jamie?
Hold on. Hold up.
In the
Pull it up,
meantime, I'll
Jamie.
say Krenwinkel.
Wait,
was
where was that
granted-
was that
Yeah, he texted.
that
to
was
us.
Joe? Oh, I got to find it.
he's
All
gonna
right.
find
Go
it.
back to our notes.
That was on TikTok.
Go back to our notes.
Helter-Skelter.
You find it. I'll read the next one.
Yeah, read the next one.
Scroll
Yeah.
up a little bit, I think. Imitation. No, that's down. Down.
Oh,
Other way.
scroll up. Okay.
Other
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
I think.
We got fabrication.
Where the heck are we, bro?
There's fabrication of evidence right here.
Oh, all right. Scroll back up, dude. My bad.
Tex
Going up.
Watson has been denied parole 18 times. Won't be eligible for parole again until
Yeah,
2026.
Tex. I mean, if you got a name, your name's Tex. Something's going on.
He's done. Keep going.
Krenwinkel was granted
Krenwinkel.
parole in May of 2022, but Newsom reversed the decision. So she's
Oh, no.
We're already talking about this.
Yep. Go down. Sorry,
Hey,
bro.
Joey, you're like,
I don't
all over
know.
the place
I don't know
here.
where your notes are, man.
they're not my notes. These are yours.
Well, I don't know where you're at on the page.
Well,
How
I'm
about
right
that?
here. There's fabrication of evidence right there.
Keep going.
Helter-Skelter. Oh, by the way, we're not going to do karaoke today. Just to let you know, because Jason's not here.
What are you talking
Steve
about, bro?
Clem Grogan is out.
If I could find a Helter-Skelter version of Zombie, you okay? What?
Just checking where we're at, bro.
Oh, Grogan
Oh.
was out. Grogan got out in 85
Grogan?
after revealing to the authorities
Which
the
one's
location
Grogan?
of Shay's remains.
Oh, that Shay was the guy that he got an inheritance, and they killed him
Donald
somewhere.
Shay, the
Okay.
ranch hand and stuntman.
All
you
right.
want to go to government cover-up? Is that what?
Let's get to let's get to what the people have been waiting for.
What?
Okay.
Wait, where?
What they've been, what they've
Wait,
been
tell me
waiting
where
for.
to go, and I'm
Right
going to look
here.
this. Okay.
O'Neill uncovers compelling evidence that the government agencies may have been vested interest in keeping Charles Manson out of jail, raising the possibility that Manson was involved in or you're going too fast.
Sorry,
slow
I
down.
just wanted to get up to you.
in or connected to covert government programs such as the CIA's MK Ultra mind control pawn in a much larger, more sinister game. So, or one that involved intelligence agencies experimenting with psychological manipulation on unwitting subjects. O'Neill documents how Manson repeatedly avoided jail time. We talked about that when it was seemed inevitable. Despite his criminal history, parole violations, arrest, and known violent tendencies, Manson was allowed to roam free far longer than he should have. This raises significant questions on why law enforcement seemingly looked the other way. Manson had numerous brushes with the law, including prior arrests for violent crimes, yet he always seemed to evade serious legal consequences. This leniency extended not just from local law enforcement, but potentially from federal agencies that could have been using Manson in covert operations. O'Neill points out that, at the very least, it appears that Manson was being protected.
For sure.
And here's an example. In the 1960s, Manson had been arrested multiple times for parole violations, including possessing weapons and drugs. Both offensives that should have put him back behind bars for an extended period of time. However, each time he was let go, the incidents occurred in the years leading up to the Tate LaBianca murders, and his freedom enabled him to build and solidify his following.
Yeah.
So,
Something was
So-
going on.
So, why was Manson, a known criminal, allowed to roam free for so long?
yeah.
Well, why was he protected?
Well, that's the $1 million question, bro. I don't know.
Perhaps because he was trained.
Yeah, he was their guinea pig. So it's the question he asked in the book was like, was CIA? Okay, he asked in the book. He was like, was Manson a byproduct of a failed MK Ultra experience?
It's
And-
just thrown out to the
well, or someone like that. And then one of the persons he was interviewing was like, no, he is evidence of a successful one,
Oh.
like of someone that they successfully.
How about a successful
Mind
trial out
manipulated.
in the real world?
Well, and they gave other examples too in the book of There was a couple trials he went over. There was this story. It's whenever I listened to it, I was like, dude, that's never going to leave my mind ever. But there was a
For real.
There was a construction worker who like left a bar one night or something like that, and basically woke up next to a like a 4-year-old girl, and both of her legs were broken, like outwards, like this,
Oh, gosh.
and her neck was broken, and she was raped and murdered and all those things. And the guy had no idea.
4 years old.
Had no idea. He's like, what? And like still, like even later on in the book, he's like, he still doesn't remember it, you know, but he was at a bar before. So like the theory is like that guy was drugged with something or something. And this was all during the time, like during this like MK Ultra program where they're
Yeah.
like,
And hashtag MK Ultra, we have an episode on that,
yeah,
which we dive deep into that program.
yeah.
So go check out our back catalog.
But there was numerous stories of that. There was numerous stories of the CIA, like just their, we'll just say funny business, you know, of what they were doing back in the 60s. But let's look into the ties.
Let's.
Hey, I found that quote, by the way.
Oh, quote it up.
So this is from our TikTok account. We have several TikTok accounts. Jason made 7 accounts.
Okay, Jason.
You know,
Little
just for
much.
promotions. But this, so I share out little shorts from the video clips that we do here, and this was one of the comments on our short. We're talking about Manson,
Mm-hmm.
and which was last week, and the name of this person's called Jim's wife.
Jim's.
Okay,
That's
Jim's
the account.
wife.
That's the account name.
Jim's
So
my
her
dad.
name is Jim's wife.
So Jim's wife
Wait,
said,
where does she live? I'm just kidding.
"Who?
Jim's wife.
Oh yeah, she lives in Kansas." I was in. She's
mom is Jim's wife.
what?
Is this your mom?
Wait a minute.
Was
Is
your
it
mom
your
ever
mom?
in prison?
Okay,
I
here.
mean, she literally. My dad's name's Jim.
Okay, here's the quote. She said, "I was in prison with Leslie Van Houten and Susan Atkins.
No.
Atkins was out of it, grew a beard, and was a stud broad. Is that prison term for something? I don't know what a stud broad is.
Ew.
Maybe
I
a
don't-
dude. I'm acting like a dude in a women's prison.
I don't know, bro.
And then she said
wasn't
weird.
She wasn't the one getting attacked in prison. That's for sure.
Okay.
I'm sure of that.
Okay, gotcha. So and
They probably would've
and she
liked
said
it anyway.
Leslie was a sweet girl, quiet, and Leslie's the one you said just got out, right? Van Houten?
Yeah.
Van Houten?
Yeah.
She said Leslie was a sweet girl, quiet, very kind. She said it took her 4 years.
To know what happened.
Oh, is that what that means?
Uh-huh.
I would love to get Jim's wife, if you're listening, on this program. So if you're listening, you can reach out to us, truth@bottomofthat.com. That's the email.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can DM us on any one of our social platforms.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. I want to do an interview on this show and talk about your prison time with Leslie and Susan. There it
That's
is.
interesting, dude. Took her 4 years to understand what happened.
Okay.
Wow.
Not part of the people that were in trial, but just a random little tidbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys know about Lynette Squeaky Fromm?
No.
No.
Lynette Squeaky.
She's one of, yeah, she went by Squeaky.
Squeaky.
She looks like, she's very mousy looking. Here, look at her.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my-
Squeaky.
Oh my
So
God.
she
Call her the
wasn't.
squeaker.
She wasn't present at either of the murders, but she was the one causing a scene out in front of the courthouse every day.
Yeah.
What kind
And
of scene?
when Manson was convicted and moved from prison to prison, she was moving from like town to town to be close to him.
Oh, she was
Mhm.
a fan.
No, she was part of the family, but she was just.
Oh,
she just wasn't present at the
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
thing, so they
okay.
didn't arrest her for anything because she wasn't.
She didn't
there.
go to the.
Yeah.
She didn't go to the Susan Tate house.
Right. But here's what's funny. In September 1975, she pulled a gun on President Gerald Ford in Sacramento, but it didn't go off, and she was immediately restrained by the Secret Service.
What?
She was convicted of the attempted assassination and sentenced to life in prison. The trial ended with Fromm throwing an apple at the face of the prosecuting attorney, knocking off his glasses.
Nice. An apple.
Wow.
In 1987, December, she escaped from a West Virginia prison in an attempt to meet up with Manson, who heard that she developed cancer. She was captured and imprisoned for several more years, granted parole in 2008. She was released a year later, after which she moved into a home decorated with skulls, living with an ex-convict boyfriend who was obsessed with Manson.
That kind of tracks.
Yeah, at 74, she published a book about her life in 2018.
What? Okay, I got to get that book.
Here, scroll down real quick. But
And she still claims to have been in love with Charles.
Well, it sounds like it.
Yeah, she was
So you want to go
real
over
obsessed.
suppression of evidence?
Nah, I don't think so. We already kind of talked.
Yeah, we kinda talked
kind
about
of hit
that.
it all, bro. You know, we already talked about the role of the media. I just want to make sure we
You
kind
want
of
to talk
hit
more
everything.
about the clinic? I know you're itching to do that, Byron.
Yeah, just
Hit the clinic.
we
dude.
just kind of talked about it. I don't know much about it. Do you have it in your notes here? The Ashbury Clinic, unexamined.
Should be.
Helter-Skelter, ran like a picano.
I don't think I do. I think I just.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
there it is.
Well, here's a lot of ties to MK Ultra, or we already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's how
That's
to use
it.
the talking points
That's
right
it,
here,
bro.
So
That's it, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you want
listen,
to talk about?
all I know is Ashbury Clinic was a clinic that, like you said, they took them there to get tested for STDs, and also they were giving people LSD.
Yeah, and O'Neill was
I think it was a
actually-
training ground for the CIA.
Could be.
I think you're probably right, because people just thought like, oh, I get free care or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And
And
free drugs.
basically when you sign in, they were probably just subject to a lot of stuff. They didn't know because they were already doing drugs and stuff anyway. So
Yeah, so they were just,
that's kind
and then Manson was there under direct involvement of the CIA. I think he was
Yeah.
a plan.
Maybe.
Oh,
I
here's
don't
here's
know.
the other thing we haven't connected, other than the weird haircut guy at the Tate murders,
Okay.
and the
What,
drug,
Sebring?
Sebring
Uh-huh.
connection, and the only thing we haven't connected the dots, which they're very good at leaving the public unconnected,
Yeah.
is what connection did this? Why did the CIA want Sharon Tate and not that whole place to murdered? Or was Sharon Tate just a collateral damage
Might have
of
just been
somebody, of
collateral
one
damage.
person in the house we're going to take out, and everybody else is collateral damage? I think it was a hit job. That's my theory.
Yeah, but there's not really. I mean, maybe. I mean,
I think maybe it was just collateral damage.
And I think
as like,
I think it's interesting Roman was out of town.
I do think that.
yeah. Well, I think it was just collateral damage because they were already doing shady stuff at the Haight-Ashbury Clinic.
Yep.
They knew that Manson was doing this. They knew that he had the ability to,
He was already trained in the art
yes,
of controlling this family.
and he kind of went sideways, but this was just a product of like what can happen if it's unchecked, pretty much. And they were like, "Oops, we'll just have to
We'll have to
change-
tweak that a little
we'll
bit.
have to tweak our program."
Yeah, because we didn't mean to take out Sharon Tate.
Unless it talked about this in the book. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So the Lyndon, what was it? Lyndon Boyd Johnson. That was the president at that point in time.
Lyndon B.
Lyndon B. Mr. That dude seemed
Wait a
like
minute.
a
That was
freaking shady individual.
Well,
bro.
sure. That's the guy that killed Kennedy.
Yeah, he was a shady boy. So he killed Kennedy for one, because Kennedy wanted to shut down the CIA.
Yeah,
right.
LBJ.
and he wanted to take down all the secret
And
societies.
he wanted to take down secret societies.
Boom.
But the America in that point in time, whenever Lyndon Boy Johnson came over, he had the
What is his middle name? Is it Bane?
I don't know.
That
I'm
makes
looking
sense.
it up. Hold on.
They had the Black Panthers. They had all
Yes.
these like environmental groups going on. This was during the Summer of Love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Country
They
was
had-
torn. Vietnam.
They had a huge issue with
Bane's.
there was a quote from
He was a
I think it was one of the
dude.
Beatles. One of the Beatles came in and he's like, "Yeah, man, I experienced the Summer of Love, and it was just basically a bunch of kids strung out on drugs."
Well,
you know,
that right?
it was
Okay.
what it was.
That's- yeah.
People just dropping acid. So
Yeah,
there
nobody
was
loves
this,
anybody.
there was this big societal thing that was happening,
yes.
Mhm.
and everyone was looking at hippies as this kind, loving, group,
Communal group.
like.
Yeah.
So there was a problem with that because the government sees that. It's like, we can't control these people. All they care about is drugs and money and
And
power
sex.
and
Right.
sex. So Susan, or not Atkins, no, Sharon Tate, I believe she was collateral damage, but she was collateral damage because they were trying to push this, like, oh, hippies. Because after this happened, hippies were, the idea of a hippie changed from someone that was peaceful and loving to this guy could potentially be a hitchhiking murderer.
Wow.
And there was this.
Don't pick him up.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened, though. Because it made a fear because
No,
it's
that's
like,
a great theory.
Before that, it was, people would pick up hitchhikers. Because I read in this book all the time. And they'd be like, yeah, this guy showed up to the thing because he picked up the girls as a hitchhiker. And I was like, are these people effing crazy?
Yeah.
But
enter those
it was
series of serial killers that have just exploded onto the scene after that.
Yeah.
Like Ted Bundy. That's all he did.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Early 80s, right?
Picked up no, he was late 70s, early
Oh.
80s, but yeah. But he
Same time.
started his whole thing picking up hitchhikers.
Yeah. So he was killing hitchhikers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just seems like
So I hear your theory. It's like, hey, let's push this over here, even though there's a collateral damage, but let's ruin this image.
Yeah, let's ruin the image because Lyndon B was doing that same thing in Vietnam too. They were like going over there planting all this evidence of like all these murders taking place, but really it was our government doing it. And we're trying to change it to make it look like it was like the Viet Cong or whatever it was, to change society to be like, oh, the CIA, we're the good guys. So I just wonder if he was doing the same thing here in America, like, oh, these hippies are bad. Like, trust your government. Like, you never know if this guy's going to be a murderer. You don't want to hang out with these people. You don't want to have them in your home.
Yeah, don't go to that.
You don't want to do these things. It's like, so I think even Charles Manson himself was a byproduct of that, of like, well, let's train this monkey to like do this to other people, and let's promote this like feeling of like hate and dread in this person. And it was just it was a matter of time. He was going to kill somebody. I don't know the level of mind control. It's like it talks about that guy who killed that 4-year-old. It's like I don't know if
That's
anyone.
crazy.
I don't know if anyone was like pushed a button and in his heart he's like murder 4-year-old.
Like
girl.
the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like that or if it was just like they were altering the chemicals in the brain to be like to be violent. And it was just a matter of time. I don't know. I haven't studied mind control myself. But
it could be on something with the whole like trust the government, because now look at us.
Yeah.
Because we swallowed that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
Now look at where we're at.
Yeah, and then they took it too far with COVID, but
Don't even get me started.
And they shot themselves in
you
the foot.
might get this episode blocked just for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the last 2 seconds of the
well,
episode.
we do have a COVID. We do have a COVID in our catalog. The origins.
They
we
didn't
ain't
block
blocked
it?
yet.
They did on YouTube.
Oh, wow. Big
Actually,
shock.
I got a strike.
Did you? Well, here's another one.
A little 90-day strike.
Worth it.
Right. Wow. I think that kind of covers up Manson Volume 2, Part 2. I think we covered a lot that we didn't cover in the first episode. So
yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, so
I appreciate Meryl coming on the program.
Like we said at the end of it, it's like the book leaves you with just a bunch of questions. It was the biggest nothing sandwich.
The nothing sandwich, right?
But it from
but
start
also
to finish.
groundbreaking.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to delve deeper into the not the official story, I suggest you go get the Chaos book Tom O'Neill wrote. I'll leave the description in our show notes so you can check it out.
It's actually on Spotify.
You can actually listen to it.
That's how I do
if you're a premium member and not just one of the family members.
Mm-hmm.
No
you can just
intended.
listen to it. Yeah. Hey, make sure you visit our website, www.bottomofthat.com. Check out our blog for all our show notes, resource material. From there, you can find out all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Or Twitter's actually X. So if you're listening on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute, and you like this episode, do me a favor, share, subscribe, leave a comment. What this is going to do is tell the algorithm to serve this material up to other people that want to hear this content.
That's right.
If you're listening on another podcast platform, audio only, do me a favor, turn on notifications so you never miss when we publish an episode. If you did not like this episode, I appreciate you hanging on. for Manson Part 2.
Kick
Yes.
rocks.
I want you to tune in next week. You
if
might
you don't
hear,
like it, kick rocks.
yeah, kick rocks. Tune in next week. You might hear Meryl say,
Toodaloo.
you said that last week.
I know. Well, I can't help it.
Joey say,
Don't
take acid.
Don't take acid. Don't go to the Ashbury Clinic. And the summer of love was a summer of drugs.
Gotcha.
Yo.